welcome to Proven. Proven is all about those individuals that are capable and worthy of carrying the title of having become an expert in their areas of expertise. I'm drRenee, and I'm so happy that you've joined us today. We have an incredible guest today that is a proven woman in her own right. I have with me today Debra Bowles. She's the founder of Women Call Moses. She's one of those individuals that's kind of like a Harriet Tubman. She kind of created this so that she could go underground to help women and children in the midst of domestic violence. And when I say she goes underground, she's gonna talk about that a little bit, but she'll get up in the middle of the night, she'll get in and get them out and get them into a safe place. And so she has, because of her own personal experiences, experienced the depths of what's involved, so she understands in a whole nother capacity. But she's a powerhouse anyway, because she comes from an incredible corporate past. She has been with the movers and the shakers. She tends to help promote and work with some of those iconic individuals in the sports and the entertainment arena. So I'm so happy today to welcome this proven individual. We call her Debra Bowles, and she is here with us today. So Debra, welcome to the show today. I'm so excited to talk to you, girl.
I'm excited as well.
Well, you know, I tell you what, from the moment that I met you, there was such a connection. And you're not one of those people that really boasted about what you were doing, but I saw such a passion in you about what you were doing and what you believed in, and that's contagious.
Yes,
and so today, you know, and I know you didn't get there overnight. Okay,
No,
you had to start
not at all.
someplace.
Oh,
Okay,
yes, it is.
so we want to go a little bit into the backstory, all right? Okay,
All right.
of how you got to where you are, and so we welcome you. So just share a little bit about who you really are and how you got to where you are. We don't want to know about your successes and your failures, girl. So you got to talk today.
Oh, this is it. You
Okay.
get to hear the real Debra Bowles
Wonderful.
story. The thing that got me started most was my experience as a child. My father was very abusive to my mom. And, you know, just as a child, seeing that, you know, it affects a child. So seeing my dad and my mom, you know, coming home from school, dad beating on mom, and not
At an
only
early
that,
age.
at a very early age. And a lot of times parents don't think that affects kids. But to me, I think I remember more about my childhood with my mother and father than any relationship. And seeing my father do, and you know, it's kind of hard seeing your father beat your mother, or
Well,
mom
yeah,
and
'cause you have
dad
a
going
love
at it.
for your
Yes,
dad.
and you don't know what side to
Yeah.
take. You know, dad is good, mom, you love them both, and that's all you know is mom and dad, and you look for them to protect you. So when you see one of your parents hurting the other one, I mean, that's just something hard to digest as a child, and it traumatizes you, and it's even unhealthy for you growing up when you're ready to go into a relationship, because a lot of times women feel that that's acceptable because they seen their father or even their brother or sibling do this type of behavior, and it's learned behavior. So seeing my dad and mom do that, I thought that was just normal. I really did. I didn't know the word abuse or the phrase abuse. I just said mom and dad had a fight and they kiss, make up, and go back. But then when you see this every day, you know it's not normal. You know, and then when you see blood, or you see mom getting up late at night leaving, or, you know, family and friends talking about, you know, hey, her dad beat her mom and dad. I mean, you get to hear this. So, you know, that affects a child. And I think me seeing that, I didn't know that it was going to affect me as an adult. You never look down that lane, or even just imagine you going to be in an abusive relationship. And I think a lot of mine in my relationship came in knowing that my father abandoned. Not only was he abusive, he abandoned us. So, you know, you find yourself looking for love in the wrong places. You know, if your dad abandoned you, all you want to do is fill that void, and you want to be loved. And being, you know, having a boyfriend and having a father is two different things.
Right.
And a lot of times you realize when you're in a relationship, you're looking for that father, not even a man, you know, and you don't know how to separate the two because you've never really had that true love. And I think that's where all my problems started, was my childhood.
Okay, so from your childhood, then if you were seeking to fill that void or that hole in your soul, what was the earliest relationship that you can remember that probably was absolutely unhealthy?
Probably around, probably about 20.
Okay.
I would say in my 20s.
In your 20s.
Yeah.
But you know, it's interesting because you ended up, you know, fulfilling your education, right? At the same time, you are dealing with this hurt and this pain and this bondage that you've been carrying all these years. So, I mean, how did you really deal with that? I mean, did it make you super successful and want to achieve to get out? Or?
You become an overachiever.
Okay.
I think you become
I can kind of relate to
yeah,
that. Yeah,
right. I don't, and not only that, a lot of times you don't know that you're even dealing with abuse, or you don't even know what's the difference between really a good relationship and a bad relationship. Because keep in mind, you see your mom and your father, so you just think that's normal. So as an adult, you make excuses for other people's behavior, even when they treat you bad, because you look at it like this: if you're dating someone and they're taking care of you financially, then you're like, okay, they good. But then at nighttime, it's this
like a
evil
Dr. Jekyll
spirit.
and Mr.
Yeah.
Hyde kind of a
So you're like, this is
situation.
my father's, this is
Wow.
my child's father. He's a good provider. But when it comes to me, he's a bad person, you know, trying to communicate with me. You know, a lot of times in a relationship, people don't know how to communicate with one another.
Right.
And communication is key in a relationship. So coming from a dysfunctional household, then you find out that even your partner is dysfunctional. That's a whole nother story, because the person that you see is really becomes this monster overnight. They don't appear to be a monster when you're dating, because they're
Right.
buying you the nice gifts.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
You know, you're making love, you're having fun, you're kissing, you're going on dates, you know, you're excited because he's handsome. And then all of a sudden at nighttime, he turns into this animal, and you don't realize that that's abuse, especially when men are trying to control you. I didn't even know about control and, you know, a perpetrator or an abusive person. I just thought, not knowing, oh, this was the killer, that they have drug problems or some mental problems. And again, you don't know what people have gone through in their childhood, because we don't always discuss that. Now, we as women have a tendency to pillow talk,
Right.
and you tell that man all of your business, but he doesn't tell his, and then they use it as a weapon when, you know, things start turning for the worse. And so I think that's what happened to me. I think, you know, I was just naive and gullible, looking for love in the wrong places. And I think that's how Women Call Moses came in.
So what happened with this particular relationship then, if you went from your
Oh, you're
childhood
trying to go
home?
there, right?
Well, you know, I think it's important because, I mean, when you look at a woman like yourself and you see the level of success that you've achieved, a lot of times we don't realize, like you say, what is hidden behind that beauty and that facade of success and being that overachiever. And I think the thing of it is that there's so many that are going through this, and they think they're by themselves. Because I know for me personally, I've been there too, just as you have.
That's right.
But the thing of it is, the enemy kept telling me that I was by myself, that nobody would really believe me. And so I accepted a lot and tolerated a lot. And so when it came to having that ability to like get out of it or trust, you know, I prayed, but I knew that I really needed an intervention, but I didn't know who to go to.
You know, the thing with me was I was ashamed.
There you go.
You know, I was ashamed. First of all, you see your friends and you think your best friend, everything is great with her. You remember your childhood, how sometimes you would go to your cousins, your friends, and, you know, you always said, I want that beautiful family. I want that nice husband. I want the nice home. I want the car. I want us to go on a family vacation. So you tried to do whatever is possible to make
that
happen.
happen.
I mean, that's a dream come true. And so I started living a lie. And that's what happens to cover up your pain and your embarrassment for failure. You think you're a failure. That self-talk, self-medicating yourself. I mean, I got to the point where I started drinking, and I don't always share that because, again, you know, sometimes people use it against you. Even today, a lot of times when you're telling your story, you know, people like, I can't believe that, or, you know, she lived in this nice home, and, you know, she's a strong black woman.
So by all appearances, you were living that dream.
Oh, most definitely. I looked the part. I acted the
Wow.
part. I knew how to put makeup on. I
Yeah.
knew how to take makeup off. I knew how to be holier than thou. I grew up Kojic, Church of God
on
in
now.
Christ.
Yeah.
You know, we spoke in tongue. You know, I
Wow.
stood in line. You know, I did it all. They laid hands on me. You know, I tried to work different ministries. And I even tell people today, you can't work a ministry when you're a damaged product.
Oh my God.
You cannot do that. It's impossible. I don't know where women think they can do that.
Okay.
I was damaged.
Okay. So You're not damaged today, okay?
No, I'm not.
That's a beautiful thing.
That's right.
Okay?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so recognizing all of that, how did you turn that around? How did you get to the place where you recognize that, you know what, I can't do this anymore?
It takes a lot of work to get up and lie every day.
And
be someone that you're really not.
Yeah.
I mean, you become heavy again, start self-medicating yourself. And I'm just going to be honest, I had to come correct with God first myself. I didn't have a personal relationship with God until I really started dealing with domestic violence.
Okay.
I was going to church,
Right.
but I didn't have a relationship
You were
with
religious.
God. Oh, most
And
I
you did
was
it out of
past religion.
yeah.
I just did what Mama told me. You ain't going to live in this
Yeah.
house and not
Not
go to church.
right.
You
Yeah.
know, I mean, we grew up that way. And so even going to the church, I felt, because growing up culture, we was always told, you know, you can't get a divorce. And that's just real talk. Or, you know, that's evil. Pray on
Yeah.
it. You know,
Yeah.
you pray about it. We're going to fast, doing youth sack, or we going to the convention, you know, and convocation.
Right.
And we're going to lay hands on this man.
Right.
You're not
we gonna handle
yeah,
this. You're
we
gonna be all right.
this,
Okay?
right? Not knowing that you're going home with this every day and it's not healthy. And a lot of times they don't even realize, even in the church, how you end up going to service every day, not knowing when you go home that afternoon, that night, you will get beat down just for going to church.
Yeah.
You know, and then when you
Yeah.
go to church, they beat you down because they come back and say, why are you not at Sunday school? Well, I can't come because he don't want me to come. Or, you know, you try to explain to people, then they become judgmental. So you end up fighting. You feel like the whole
every
world
hand.
against
Yeah.
you. And then that's when the shame come back, the self-talking.
Wow.
And so you just feel that you all alone. Like you said, you by yourself. Who can I talk to if I can't talk to the church people? I can't tell my mom. I can't tell my dad. Who do you talk to?
So you're carrying all this, but yet today you're a proven woman in
Oh,
your
yes.
own right. What gave you the stamina and the fight and the perseverance to say, you know what, things have to change in my life starting today? Because there's somebody that's watching today, and there's somebody that's saying, I don't feel like I can become that undamaged good.
Right.
But at some point you made a decision. At some point you did something different. At some point you obviously got out. And at some point you made a decision that I'm going to use what the enemy meant for evil and use it for good and help others because I know where they are. So share a little bit about that transformation, because that had to be a major transformation.
It was, but I think what really helped me was strong women. And I'll just be very honest, very transparent. Some strong African American women that were there to support me. I remember a good friend of mine that's an attorney. She taught me how to type. We was on Selectric 3 typewriters. You remember those?
God, yes. Girl, you took me back for a moment.
Yes,
Hold on
exactly.
now.
I wanted to
We
be
telling
a
our age
paralegal.
right now.
That's right. And I remember telling her, I said, hey, look, I want to leave my husband. I said, I'm afraid, but I don't know how I'm going to make it. And she said, you can come and work with me part-time, you know, just do like an internship. And she said, I'll teach you. And I started typing for her. Next thing you know, I became a paralegal. After that, you know, I've always had this strong personality. I felt that I was predestined to be a billionaire, millionaire, a lady with
I'm
a
with you.
lot
I'm
of-
with you,
You
right?
know what I mean? No one never, I mean, I don't care how bad things got. I said, I used to
Like,
say,
I'm
I'm
gonna
gonna
rise
make it
up
to,
out of the ashes. I'm gonna
most
make it.
definitely.
Yeah.
I
Oh, my
knew
God.
that I was
Yeah.
predestined for that. And so I think dealing with my dear friend, you know, I would explain to them, look, I just want to get out. And meeting and connecting with the right people that won't judge you and look down to you and give you resources. Well, this particular person did give me resources, but I'm going to be honest, what really helped me, again, I have to go back to this. I had to go prostate with God. I had to come out, I'm talking about snot, crying, knees hurting, going in closets. I mean, I literally had to say, God, because depression has started to set up on me. And again, I knew that I was someone special. Even when I was a little girl, I knew I was you know, being brought up in a dysfunctional household. But at the same time, I always felt good about myself. I never had low self-esteem, but I just didn't know how to get out. And so when I did, I was like, oh, I'm somebody. I have a voice.
Wow.
A lot of people don't understand this. I used to be like, I'm scared to talk, because remember, a lot of times when you're in a relationship, first thing that your perpetrator do is try to choke you, or they'll bust you in your lip, you know, or the black eye. So a lot of times I was afraid to talk. to say anything.
Yeah, because
so,
of the repercussions
right.
behind
Oh,
you
most
speaking.
definitely. Oh, you
Yeah.
talking back to me? Bam.
Yeah.
You know, next thing you know, so you will be on eggshell. So when I found that I had my voice back, I started talking to people, telling them what I wanted to do, looking for some more support and more help, a better job. And I remember my mother got very, very ill, and I left Houston and I moved to Dallas. And I started working for the Dallas Mavericks. Oh, you couldn't tell me I wasn't important.
You had
then.
arrived
Oh,
then, right?
yes,
Yeah.
I remember
One of the
this
greatest
like
teams
oh
in the nation.
yes. And at that time, and I'll be real, I was dark skinned, and I was like, oh, I'm beautiful. I'm the only dark beautiful that's working in the sales department. I was all excited. I felt like I was getting me back, and it was a slow process. But at the same time, I found myself talking to other women that shared their stories, and that made me talk about my situation even more, because I'm like, oh, we all have something in common.
So were these women just everyday women that you
Yes,
ran into?
business women. Like,
Yeah.
you know, like I went through this. I was an attorney. I lost this. And when they said past tense, because I knew a female that lost her license between I think she said right after she took her bar exam, it was 2 years later that her husband said that she hit him, and she ended up getting,
Oh, wow.
yes.
Oh,
And so it
God.
flipped, and she became the bad person. She started drinking. She started just popping pills and all of this because of that. Because at the time when I was growing up, we didn't have a lot of resources out
Right,
there and
yeah.
shelters that you can
Yeah.
go to. So she ended up losing everything. But after I felt like I lost everything and she lost everything, I started telling her different things about how to get you back. And I think just being transparent and being honest, Dr. Renee, I think that's the best way.
So here you are in the midst now, and you're finding yourself having these conversations with these women, professional women, everyday women. So when did the vision for reaching back, pulling up and helping others rise really kind of set within yourself, when you realized I got to do something? I can't sit here and hear these stories anymore? Because, you know, we all minister to people. We all
Yes.
share encouraging words. But there comes a point where you almost feel overwhelmed and helpless, and it's like, I've got to do more. When did that passion really ignite in you?
When I met Rocket Ismail and Melanie Ismail.
I love them.
I
Yeah.
know, aren't they great? I
Very
was
incredible
actually
couple.
at their studio, and Rocket and Melanie was looking for an executive to run their studio, and I was referred to them to help them do their marketing PR. So they hired me to do some consulting. And I remember this like if it was yesterday. I was walking by Rocket Ismail's office, and he said, hey, Debra Bowles, come here. And I went over, and I was like, yes. He goes, why you not doing what God? I said, there go, oh boy. And so by that time I said, what do you mean? He goes,
Don't you hate it when people do that? You need to really step up and step
yes.
into
And I
what
thought
it
I
is
had
you're
done
called.
stepped up working
Yeah,
for the Mavericks, not knowing that I'm getting ready to go to another level, right?
Right, you had arrived.
Yes.
Like, this is my dream job.
And I'll tell you what, I started showing the 32 teeth because remind you, I'm talking to a celebrity. At the time, Rocket was working with the Cowboys, playing for the Cowboys.
Yeah.
So I'm already feeling good about
God had
myself.
just dropped you right into
so
the
I
right
thought I
place
had
there.
done made it to the next level, and here it is. He like, why you not doing what God telling you to do? And I was like, he said, come here, Harriet Tubman.
Wow.
Now that's when I was like, okay, this is no laughing matter anymore. Okay, maybe God is trying to tell me something. So I my spirit, it kind of shifted on me. So I said, what do you mean by that? He said, you're supposed to be helping women. And I said, who told you that?
So in working with them, they picked up on the fact that there was something more in
Straight
you.
up.
And I think what's interesting here is that a lot of times I think all of us find ourselves on a path that we think is leading us directly to our purpose.
Oh, yes.
Only to find that we're not at the destination
Right.
God had for us. So I can imagine that was a bit overwhelming.
Oh, it was overwhelming because I thought working for the Mavericks was it. I thought I'm like, hey, I'm over here with Dirk. I'm over here. Oh, I'm with the Tradima Usher. All these. Oh, this is wonderful. But then Rocket, he's in the spirit because I was in the flesh. Now, okay, my flesh, because I see all these healthy, nice-looking NBA players, and here Rocket Ismail over here talking about why you not doing what God told you to do.
Look, okay,
And
now
I-
it's time to make another shift.
yes.
So how did you go about that? What
Rocket,
happened?
this is what I said. I said, well, maybe if somebody help me, I could do it. He said, well, what would it take for you to do this? I said, probably get a 501c3. I said, I know it costs a lot of money. He said, well, I'm gonna give you 25,000 and I'm gonna get, I said, hold up, wait a minute. I said, oh God, it's really, so this time I'm almost in tears. So Rocket, next thing you know, Rocket done hired these CPAs to do my 501c3. Next thing you know, I'm a nonprofit organization. This is no joke. That time I knew God was real. For real, I knew he was real.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm like, how many individuals you know
Now, had
gonna
you
drop?
written your vision and plan?
No.
I hadn't done any of that.
But I knew there was a calling on my life, but I was in the flesh. I told you I was damaged product at the time.
Right.
And at the Mavericks, I was loving the attention. Not so much as trying to find out who Debra was. I thought I found who I was. I had left my abuser. I'm doing good. I'm making good money. I have me back. And all of a sudden, God said, no, that's not the path. You had to go that way to get to the left of this. So Rocket Ismail, somebody you don't know, what they call prophesying to you. And that's when I knew that I had to just, do what God called me to do. And I remember like if it was yesterday. And the scary part of it is that I was scared that a man was giving it to me because I thought, again, he was going to control me, even though he wasn't my husband, wasn't dating, married man, still taking money. Even though Milani was there and she was in agreement, I didn't want to take money from a man. So, I had to really deal with that because I felt I was kind of having a relapse maybe, as we would say, a little meltdown and a little fear had tried to creep in on me. But I knew when he said that it was the next level for me. And that's when it started, was Rocket Ismail. He called it out.
Wow, that's amazing because I think so often that God will send people into our life.
Yes.
And if we're not healed, we'll oftentimes miss that opportunity. So you did not miss your opportunity. You jumped in by faith, even full of fear, but you didn't let that fear stifle you.
Right.
You just obeyed God because you saw the support that you had. That's rare sometimes on a journey.
Right.
But in your case, it actually worked in your favor. And so that's such a blessing. And so now here you are and you've moved forward. You left the Mavericks.
Yes,
okay, I know that had to be a huge transition.
Right.
The security of your job and hobnobbing and benefits. And being with all the celebrities and what comes along with that life, to step into now doing something that honestly I consider you to be one of those, like a Harriet Tubman, that is grassroots. So you're leaving the security of this job to go into something that you're passionate about. You've got the 25,000, but 25,000 won't last forever.
That went
that went quick. By the
yes,
time you
did.
paid, get it for everything to be set up right. So with Debra Bowles, what would you say to someone that is struggling with, moving to that next? I mean, what life lessons could you give them? Because you got a lot of lessons. I'm going to have you back. But the thing is, what could you tell somebody that feels broken, that's going through, but knows that there's something deeper on the inside that they're called to?
First of all, I think we as women have to forgive ourselves first. That's the hard thing. And to just be true with yourself. And what I mean by that, you're not in this alone. There's women all over the world. I think of Mary J. Blige now. I think about Shaka Khan. I think about, Felicia Rashad. Everyone has experienced some type of abuse. Don't be ashamed. And there's more resources today. When I was growing up, it wasn't a lot of resources and you didn't really talk about it, but the laws have changed. And not only that, get with a team of ladies that can accept you for who you are. Because a lot of times we get with women that are broken and it can really take you in a dark place. But what I can truly say today, which you have no idea, just sitting here talking to you, I'm going to back up a little bit. If someone would have told me, that's why women should never give up on their dream. And a lot of times we look at icons on TV and think, but the whole time that I've lived in Dallas, I never would imagine that I would be sitting here with Dr. Renee Hornbuckle. For many years, I've seen you on TV and admired you. No, this is the truth. This is not scripted. This is not part. But even just sitting here talking to you has made me feel like I want to go to another level. And, and just the fact, I remember many times you've came to support me, and I can remember you writing checks for me, and probably when you didn't have, because you you know, being a single mom and taking care of your children.
I believed in the
and
vision and the work that you were
did.
doing.
And I mean,
I really
and
did.
every time you would leave, it was like a glow. And I say, there go that beautiful woman. Oh my God. I mean, I would get butterflies in my stomach. This is the truth. You never know how you've impacted someone's life. And I remember scriptures you had given to other women that they gave to me, even dealing with women called Moses and pouring out so much. Because see, a lot of times when you're in ministry, you pour so much out. A lot of times people think you're God and you're not God.
Oh, absolutely not.
You know, that's what I'm saying. And a lot of times when you're going through, so a lot of times when you would come to my event, that's what kept me in the trenches. And I would say, you know what, if that lady can go through it and she doesn't mind, hey, telling everything she's experienced to help someone else and to live in the same city, honey, that's remarkable. You are one of my Oprahs, or you know, one of my Gales, or
Girl.
you know,
All right, don't start now. You're gonna make me cry.
No, it's the truth, because a lot of
you. I
times we
appreciate
have to
that.
give those individuals their flowers. And I'm letting you know this, that to keep me in the trenches is women like you that will accept me. A lot of times, even today, you might feel like me. I remember I had a complex. Even though I had strong self-esteem, I always thought I was too dark to even be on TV.
Girl, you're beautiful.
You know what I'm saying?
Look,
you're
a Nubian princess,
but
okay?
look, that's why I really got makeup done. Don't I look beautiful?
You do, girl. You look
because you
gorgeous.
always look flawless. But I'm just saying, for other women that are going through out there, it's women like you, myself, that constantly gives all the time. And so I want women to know we don't have to live in that fear and bondage anymore.
Absolutely.
And a lot of times when I'm in the trenches, like when I'm in East Dallas, South Dallas, I want those women to feel that they are somebody. They might not never get on TV, or they might not get to an Oprah. We are the best of the crop that they might can ever get to. And I want them to feel special and know that they're special. So a lot of times when I'm in the trenches, I talk about women like yourself to help me even stay in the trenches, because they need to know that we're not made to be beat down.
Absolutely.
Or beat down,
We are
or to talk down.
precious
Yes,
jewels.
we are.
Yes,
Can't you
we are.
tell?
We are treasures.
Yes, look at
Yes,
you.
yes.
Look, do we look like we
I know,
are?
girl.
Look
Look,
at
I
us.
know.
You know, and that's just real talk.
Yeah, well, you know, Debra Bowles, I appreciate you so much, and I'm going to close with this because you actually blessed me one day when we were having a conversation, and this is why I believe that as women, we have to live and recognize that God has called us to make a difference. You told me one day that years ago that I made an impact on you, and then you actually sent me some notes that you had from one of my conferences. And so we are called to make a difference because we never know who we're impacting.
You don't.
So every woman that we encounter has to be treated like a true queen, a princess, like a true treasure. And that's what you do. And girl, I will
Well, you
say
made me
this today. Oh, don't start. But
I
see,
know.
Deb, let me tell you something. That's why you are proven. You went through so that you could be so much more for so many more. And I applaud you today. There you have it, people. Debra Nixon Bowles, and I tell you what, this girl is really proven. She has been a blessing. You've heard her story. She got me crying, and oh my God, look, she got me crying. But you know what? She's authentic. She's a blessing, and she is absolutely proven. And so we'll let you know how to get in contact with her. If you're a woman who's in need and a woman who's going through, you must recognize you don't have to be by yourself.
That's true.
There are women out there that are in the trenches, that are fighting for you,
right.
that are praying for you, that are believing in you every day. But you have to reach out. And so this is one of the women who's proven, that has paved the way, who has gone through herself and used her detriment and her brokenness for greater good. So we applaud her today.
Glory.
And we thank you for tuning in to Proven, and we'll see you next time so that we can see who else has arisen and is absolutely proven.